Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Waterman, and I am presenting SimpliFinance, which is a generative AI-based application that aims to simplify market research and stock analysis for retail investors. So here's a quick overview of the agenda for this presentation. We will review the problem that SimpliFinance aims to solve, then dive into the technical background, perform a demonstration, and review future improvements. So here's the problem. Performing market research is complex and very time-consuming. For some background as to why this is important to me specifically, I found an interest in investing around the age of 18. At the time, I was living in a small town in New Hampshire, making minimum wage, which is $7.25 an hour in New Hampshire. And I felt pretty financially trapped, but I wasn't in a position to get myself out of that scenario in any way. So this was pretty motivating for me to find alternative income sources, and I really wanted to focus on making my money work for me. At that time, I was too busy with school, studying mechanical engineering, and working to devote any time to learning the intricacies of the stock market. But I did see some independent success. I did see some small successes investing in stocks like Apple and Microsoft, but I didn't really have enough capital to make it worthwhile. And because I did okay in the short term, I really started to learn that I was missing some fundamental attributes that are necessary for good long-term investing. And this would be very important to me when I came out of college and I had more income available to invest with. So what does a good investor do? In summary, a good investor understands the business model and the core values of company. They compile up-to-date and relevant information for that company. They determine the value, and just to provide a little bit of foreshadowing, this is a very complicated process. And they analyze the competition of a given company, and then they diversify their portfolio. So to continue the story I was telling earlier, if we fast forward 7 years, I'm out of school. I'm just as busy. Nothing's changed. I wanted to continue to bridge the gap from being a naive to an informed investor. So instead of devoting my time to learning finance skills, I learned how to code instead. So from this arises SimpliFinance. SimpliFinance integrates a large tool suite into ChatGPT's GPT-4o model. One of the key challenges with using GPT-4o is that the model is as the backbone of SimpliFinance is that it is trained as of late 2023. So the stock market, which is a highly dynamic system, isn't conducive to something that only has access to information from 2023. So to tackle this, SimpliFinance features custom date, time, and fiscal quarter retrieval tools, has integrated access to the Polygon API, which is a leading stock market database with 15 years of historical data. And this can be used to retrieve information such as financials from balance sheets over a given time frame, or for aggregate stock information, such as stock prices from day to day or over certain time periods. So SimpliFinance also has access to the DuckDuckGo search API, which is essentially a programmatically accessible search engine. And this allows GPT-4o or SimpliFinance to retrieve news articles with links, and it can search for data that hasn't been returned by the other tools. Another key feature of SimpliFinance is retrieval augmented generation. This is a method of retrieving information from documents that the model has access to. These documents are embedded into a vector store that can be efficiently searched over, so there's minimal latency. The documents that SimpliFinance has access to have been retrieved from their Edgar database, which is a massive database of every single SEC filing ever. It is the primary driver of all the SEC information. So for this use case, I pulled all of the reports for the most recent round of reporting for every S&P 500 company, and I vectorized those and stored them in a vector store that the model has access to. For example, that would be a 10K form, which is a very exhaustive audited report on the financial health of a company. It occurs annually and is very finely detailed and includes information about debt, revenue, expenses, and many more metrics. And each of these reports are unique in their own way and very useful for understanding the business operations and leadership decisions that a company makes that otherwise wouldn't really be available to the public. So lastly, SimpliFinance also features custom analysis tools. One of them is a discounted cash flow valuation retrieval tool, and that's retrieved from Financial Modeling Prep. They have an API available for that information. So DCF analyses are financial modeling tools that take into account historical cash flows and then projected future cash flows and the growth rate of a company, as well as several other factors. And then it combines all that to understand the intrinsic value of the stock. What is this stock worth if we were to project out its terminal value? So this is a very common valuation tool, but it's very complex and it's outside the scope of what your retail investor would typically be capable of performing. Additionally, SimpliFinance features another custom function to compute whether a stock is over or undervalued based on the response from that DCF valuation API, and that just includes information related to the current ticker price of the stock. So here's what I like to call the hierarchy of criticality for this design. At the top, we have accuracy, versatility, and redundant data sources. Accuracy is something that's of utmost importance in this scenario. I don't want the user receiving poor information or incorrect information from the model. I wanted every single source to be factually correct and grounded, and I want the model to actually retrieve that source and return it to the user. So also tagging onto that, GPT-4o or SimpliFinance as the application. I didn't want it to compute any of the values that I'm interested in. Inherently, the model is just poor at doing math. So those are the key kind of indicators of that part of the design consideration. I really want it to be accurate and flexible and versatile with access to several different sources for the same information, so it can actually fact check itself. Moving forward, I wanted it to have an intuitive UI and minimal response time. And part of that is having a vast array of different tools that the model could respond with, whether it be graphs or just links and additional information. And then finally, for the things that did get implemented, it was a streamed response that was very important to me. It shows the user that the model is currently working on the problem that they had asked it to solve. And then at the bottom, things that didn't make it into the current implementation of the model are portfolio analysis, chat history and memory, and then allowing the user to have less precision of speech when querying the model. So now we'll move forward with the demonstration. So in my basic UI here, I have some prompts for the model that give the user a general idea of what the use cases are. So if we click financial analysis, the base prompt is based on news sources, financial data, and valuation models. Can provide a full analysis of CrowdStrike stock, include detailed numbers, and that is kind of what I was hinting at before with the precision of speech. I'd like to kind of eliminate the need to say include detailed numbers. So it'll go through and compile all the information that I can find on CrowdStrike stock. And I specifically chose this because of the recent events with CrowdStrike, and I want to ensure that this could incorporate that information into its valuation. So as you can see, here's a recent news highlight, and it has that technical disruption incident. So that is CrowdStrike's basically disruption of every major industry in the US and globally with their kernel embedded software that crashed a ton of Windows computers. So the model has access to that information, and it also has access to all the financial information. So despite that, the model can give a pretty good conclusion that based on its current trading value and the intrinsic value of CrowdStrike as a company, it's still undervalued. So the recent news may not be something that investors should be worried about when trying to look at this stock, and it actually may be a good purchasing time because the stock price has dramatically decreased. If we have a quick minute here, we'll exit out of this, move forward in the presentation. So what's next? Some things I'd like to implement are portfolio analysis, having a CSV file uploaded by the user that SimpliFinance can sift through all the data and provide accurate recommendations for ways to diversify the portfolio or just compile information on the companies that the user currently has, and to know if they're currently over or undervalued if they should buy more of the stock or maybe take profit on their holdings and reallocate their holdings to other sources. And then finally, thank you all. I appreciate you listening.